A former casino floor manager just revealed something that could change everything you thought you knew about slot machines. Right now, casino executives are quietly removing certain machines from their floors, and it has nothing to do with maintenance. These specific machines have paid out millions in player wins over the past 18 months, and the industry is scrambling to fix what they're calling the biggest profitability crisis in modern gaming history. Machine number 1, Lightning Link, high stakes. Walk into any major casino right now and you'll notice something strange. Those Lightning Link machines that used to sit right near the main entrance, the ones with the $5 and $2 denomination options, they're disappearing. Some have been moved to obscure corners near the restrooms. Others have vanished entirely. There's a reason for this, and it involves a construction worker named Marcus who hit a $180,000 grand jackpot in January of last year playing $5 bets. According to internal casino tracking data, Marcus wasn't lucky. He was playing a machine with a fundamental mathematical flaw. Former slot directors report that the high denomination versions of Lightning Link have grand jackpot trigger rates of approximately 1 in 180,000 spins compared to the advertised 1 in 400,000 on the penny versions. That's more than double the frequency. Here's what makes this even more problematic for casinos. When these machines first launched, gaming operators positioned them prominently near entrances as whale bait. On premium machines meant to attract high rollers who would lose quickly at elevated denominations. The strategy backfired spectacularly. Independent analysis of machine performance data suggests these high-stake Lightning Links have been relocated to low-traffic areas in 70% of major properties. One insider mentioned they're actually hoping players won't find them before the manufacturer issues a rebalancing update. And if you think that's impressive, machine number 2 has caused 3 different casinos to completely adjust their floor layouts. Machine number 2, Buffalo Diamond. This sequel to the original Buffalo slot has been outperforming its predecessor by 340% in player wins. An internal memo from an Atlantic City casino dated February of last year documented $420,000 in net player wins over just 30 days on a single Buffalo Diamond machine. The technical breakdown reveals why this is happening. The diamond symbol multiplier, which can reach up to 20 times, combined with the extra real feature, creates what industry insiders are calling a perfect storm of mathematical advantages. Independent testing suggests the actual return to player percentage is running between 96 and 98%, compared to the standard 88 to 92%. Programmed into most slots, documentation shows that 3 separate casino properties have reduced their Buffalo Diamond floor space by 60% since December. But wait until you hear about machine number 5. That one has casino executives literally holding emergency meetings. Machine number 3, Dragon Link, Panda Magic. There's a retired teacher named Jennifer who documented something extraordinary. Over 14 months, she recorded 23 grand jackpot hand pays at her local casino, complete with photographs and timestamps for every single win. Industry insiders report that the Panda Magic variant has a programming anomaly where the Dragon Ball frequency appears at a rate of approximately 1 in 120 spins, compared to 1 in 400 or more on other Dragon Link versions. What makes this particularly significant is that Aristocrat, the manufacturer, issued what they're calling a rebalancing update in September. But according to former technicians, most casinos haven't installed it yet. There are specific visual tells that indicate whether a machine is running the older software version versus the updated one. The screen border pattern and the way the Dragon Balls animate during the bonus round are subtly different. Player Advantage window estimates suggest 6 to 8 months before all machines receive the update. 2 major Vegas properties have already responded by moving all their Panda Magic machines to high-limit rooms with minimum $2 bets, effectively pricing out the recreational players who were capitalizing on this. Now, you might be wondering if there's a machine that combines frequent bonuses with massive top payouts. Before I tell you about that next machine, I'd really appreciate it if you'd subscribe and let me know in the comments what's the most you've ever won on a single slot session. Because what I'm about to reveal about the next machine could change how you play forever. Machine number 4. Huff and More Puff. This is what slot veterans are quietly calling the hidden gem. Las Vegas casino win and loss reports from January show this machine paying an actual return to player of 94.7% versus the 88% programmed rate. The collect feature creates a player advantage during specific bonus triggers that the manufacturer apparently didn't account for during testing. There's a case involving an anonymous whale player who documented turning $50,000 into $340,000 over 6 weeks by exclusively targeting this machine. Casinos have responded by reducing maximum bet limits from $10 per line down to $2.50. According to a slot manager who spoke on condition of anonymity, they're waiting for the manufacturer to send a programming patch. The mathematical explanation centers on why the progressive meter climbs faster than the payout algorithm anticipated. This is exactly the kind of information casinos spend millions trying to keep quiet. The specific machines where the math works in your favor instead of theirs. And speaking of machines with mathematical advantages, number 5 has caused actual panic among casino operators. Machine number 5. Wheel of Fortune 4. D. Remember I mentioned casino executives holding emergency meetings? This is that machine. Between November and January of last year, an unnamed Las Vegas Strip casino lost $2.3 million net on their bank of just 8 machines. The 4D projection technology, which was supposed to revolutionize player engagement with holographic wheel spins, created an unintended software bug where wheel spin outcomes favor players 3.2% more than programmed specifications. According to a leaked internal memo, IGT issued an emergency bulletin to all properties, warning them about the mathematical discrepancy. The fixed timeline involves staggered software updates rolling out between March and May, but here's what makes this critical for players right now. Machines manufactured between specific date ranges, identifiable by serial number patterns beginning with WF4D-2024, are the vulnerable units. Documentation shows 7 separate players winning $50,000 or more in single sessions on these specific machines. Some properties have pulled them entirely from their floors. Others have reduced available denominations to minimize exposure. A former IGT technician explained that the 4D calibration process, the way the projectors sync with the random number generator, causes the advantage. What makes this especially interesting from a player perspective is that casinos can't just shut these machines down immediately. Gaming regulations require approval for software changes, and that approval process takes weeks, sometimes months. During that window, these machines remain in play with their mathematical flaw fully intact. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Machine number 6 has the same manufacturer scrambling to contain what industry insiders are calling their biggest programming disaster in a decade. Machine number 6, Cleopatra Mega Jackpots. IGT's enhancement update from the previous year, intended to refresh this classic slot for modern players, backfired spectacularly. Casino tracking from Biloxi, Mississippi shows 14 mega jackpot hits in 9 months compared to the projected 3 to 4. The mystery progressive trigger algorithm has a flaw in how it weights bet sizes, and this creates a significant mathematical advantage for informed players. Those betting mid-range amounts, specifically $1.25 to $2.50 per spin, have disproportionate trigger rates that weren't intended in the original programming. A leaked internal IGT analysis admitted to an 18% higher trigger frequency than design specifications. The real-world impact is staggering. In combined player wins across all United States casinos on this single game are estimated between $40 and $60 million excess during the fourth quarter alone. There's a disconnect between IGT's public statement, which downplayed any issues, and their internal communications, which acknowledged serious mathematical problems requiring immediate correction. The firmware update deployed in January is supposed to fix this, but thousands of machines are still running the old software. One slot director mentioned they're now checking software versions on a weekly basis. There are specific pay table screen indicators, visible in the game rules section, that reveal which software version any particular machine is running. This represents the kind of edge that card counters dream about, and a genuine mathematical advantage hiding in plain sight on casino floors. Wait until you hear about number 9, though. That one has a 200-page legal battle attached to it. Machine number 7, Jinji Baosi Endless Treasure. In August of last year, something unusual started happening on a slot machine forum on Reddit. Players began documenting bonus retrigger rates that seemed mathematically improbable, posting screenshots and session logs that showed the Treasure Bowl feature retriggering far more frequently than the game's apparent design intended. What started as casual observation evolved into systematic documentation, and the numbers told a troubling story for casino operators. The Endless Treasure Bowl feature, which was supposed to create excitement through occasional extended bonus rounds, had a programming logic error in its retrigger algorithm. Mathematical analysis of thousands of documented spins revealed bonus retriggers occurring at a rate of approximately 1 in 8 spins, when compared to the intended 1 in 15. To put that in perspective, a feature designed to occasionally extend for player excitement was instead creating marathon bonus sessions. Some players logged 40 or more consecutive bonus spins in a single feature trigger. SG gaming machines running this title began showing actual hold percentages between 91 and 94%, significantly above the programmed 88%. The casino response unfolded in 3 distinct phases. September and October brought denial, with slot managers insisting the reported patterns were confirmation bias and selective memory. November and December saw investigation, as manufacturers sent technicians to pull performance data and verify the claims. January marked action, with machines being systematically relocated to low-traffic areas or removed from floors entirely. A scientific games engineer, speaking confidentially, confirmed that the retrigger algorithm weights symbols incorrectly during the evaluation process for continuing the bonus round. What makes this particularly relevant right now is geographic vulnerability. Certain regions, particularly tribal casinos in Oklahoma and commercial properties in Louisiana, haven't received the corrective updates yet due to slower regulatory approval processes in those jurisdictions. The estimated time window before all machines receive correction is 3 to 4 months, maybe less in Nevada and New Jersey, where gaming control moves faster. Here's the player advantage strategy that advantage gamblers have identified. Mid-denomination bets, specifically 88 cents to $1.76 per spin, maximize the mathematical flaw's impact because they trigger the bonus feature frequently enough to capitalize on the error while maintaining a bankroll that can sustain the variance. And if you think programming errors are bad for casinos, machine number 8 involves actual design oversight, the kind of mistake that happens when visual aesthetics override mathematical review during the development process. Machine number 8, Ultimate Firelink, Fiji Pearl. This story begins not with programming code, but with graphic design choices that created an unintended mathematical advantage. A Reno casino removed an entire bank of these machines after documenting $680,000 in player wins over just 4 months, losses that prompted an internal investigation into what went wrong. The technical explanation centers on Pearl symbol visibility. During specific real positions, the way the Pearl symbols appear creates predictable patterns that informed players can recognize and exploit. In December, an Advantage player team began documenting hit frequency patterns, tracking thousands of spins across multiple machines, and identifying consistent tells that indicated imminent bonus triggers. The industry panic was immediate once this information began circulating. Bally's issued emergency communications to casino operators warning them about Advantage play vulnerabilities and recommending immediate countermeasures. The mathematical breakdown reveals that when pearl symbols appear in certain reel positions, usually positions 2 and 4 on the center 3 reels, the probability of triggering the Firelink bonus within the next 12 spins jumps to approximately 1 in 12 compared to the random expectation of 1 in 50. Three separate Advantage Play teams have documented monthly profits between $20,000 and $40,000 by exclusively targeting this vulnerability. What players need to watch for are the specific visual cues, into the particular arrangement of pearl symbols that precede high probability bonus triggers. Casinos are deploying countermeasures rapidly now. Bet limits have been reduced across most properties. Machines are being moved to areas under heavy surveillance camera coverage. Some casinos have begun backing off or outright banning players identified as targeting these machines systematically. One slot manager compared this to the old Game King video poker bug, calling it the biggest design flaw in modern slot manufacturing. The manufacturer is offering retrofit kits as of February, hardware modifications that adjust reel weighting to eliminate the predictable patterns. This is exactly why casinos watch certain players so carefully, why they track betting patterns and win rates and playing behavior with such intensity. But nothing compares to the legal nightmare surrounding Machine Number 9, a situation that's turned into actual litigation between casinos and manufacturers. Machine Number 9, 88 Fortunes Dynasty Edition. Here's that 200-page legal battle I mentioned earlier, and it represents something unprecedented in the modern casino industry. In October of last year, a consortium of casino operators filed a class action lawsuit against SG Gaming, claiming contractual breach and what the legal documentation describes as systematic financial damages totaling $120 million across more than 2,000 installed machines. The lawsuit's technical allegations center on progressive jackpot algorithms, triggering 40% more frequently than the contracted specifications that casinos agreed to when they leased these machines. What makes this case extraordinary isn't just the dollar amounts involved. It's the timeline that emerged during discovery. The issue existed undetected for 18 months, running from June through December of the previous year, during which period thousands of players were winning jackpots at rates that fundamentally undermined the mathematical models casinos use for profit forecasting. Individual casino tracking data submitted as evidence shows mini and minor progressives hitting at rates of approximately 1 in 180 spins compared to the promised 1 in 450. Real player impact documentation reveals cases of individual players hitting multiple jackpots within single 4-hour sessions, outcomes so statistically improbable under normal circumstances that they triggered fraud investigations before anyone realized the machines themselves were malfunctioning. There's a conspiracy theory circulating among industry insiders that this wasn't accidental malfunction, but rather an intentional loss leader strategy that spiraled beyond manufacturer control, though no evidence supporting this claim has emerged in legal proceedings. The current legal status remains in settlement negotiations, with both parties under gag orders that prevent detailed public discussion. But here's what matters for players right now. A legal injunction prevents any software modifications to these machines until the settlement concludes, a resolution not expected until June at the earliest. That means these units remain in active play with their mathematical flaw fully operational. Geographic hotspots where these machines are heavily concentrated include tribal properties throughout California and Oklahoma, plus commercial casinos along the Gulf Coast from Texas through Florida. The identification method requires checking serial numbers, specifically units with manufacturing codes beginning with FF-DYN-2024, and certain cabinet variations that feature the red and gold Dynasty Edition branding, rather than the standard green 88 Fortunes color scheme. Casino owners are literally suing over how much money players are winning, a situation that reveals just how severely these mathematical errors impact bottom-line profitability when they persist across thousands of machines over extended timeframes. And speaking of manufacturer problems, machine number 10 has 3 different companies pointing fingers at each other, while players continue exploiting a network communication flaw that nobody wants to take responsibility for fixing. Machine number 10, Locket Link Nightlife. This situation involves a three-party problem where the cabinet manufacturer, software provider, and progressive network operator are all denying responsibility for what industry documentation describes as a jackpot reset anomaly. The problem was first identified in November after casino operators noticed unusual jackpot clustering patterns, multiple major hits followed by suspicious minor jackpot frequencies that suggested something fundamentally broken in how the progressive network communicated with individual machines. The technical explanation centers on network communication delays that cause progressive reset errors following major jackpot hits. When someone wins the major progressive, the network is supposed to reset minor progressives to their base seed values, not typically $50 for penny denomination play. Instead, due to what technicians describe as handshake timing issues between the machine and the network server, minor progressives sometimes reset to values between $200 and $400, effectively giving subsequent players a mathematical head start. Advantage player forums began sharing hunt strategies for these reset anomalies in December, with teams camping near Locket Link banks immediately after major jackpot hand pays, waiting to capitalize on the elevated reset values. A Connecticut casino documented this pattern over 40 jackpot cycles, finding reset errors occurred in approximately 30% of major wins. The mathematical breakdown shows these reset errors create an 8 to 12% player advantage for roughly 200 to 300 spins following a major jackpot, a window where informed players have genuine positive expectation. The industry response has devolved into finger-pointing between WMS, who manufacture the cabinets, Every, who provides the progressive network infrastructure, and IGT, who developed the base game software. A working group formed in January to address the issue, but no solution has been implemented yet, with each company insisting the problem originates with another party's systems. One slot director expressed frustration that nobody wants to pay for the fix, since any solution requires expensive hardware modifications across thousands of linked machines. Some casinos have attempted workarounds by disconnecting the progressive network entirely, reverting machines to standalone mode with fixed top awards, but this reduces player appeal significantly. Meanwhile, vulture teams of advantage players are camping these machines systematically, treating them like the old must-hit by progressive opportunities that sharp players exploited for years. This represents what happens when manufacturers rush technology to market without adequate testing of how different systems interact under real-world conditions. But we're getting to the final two machines, and these represent something even more concerning than isolated bugs or programming errors. These represent where the entire industry is heading. And the problems they're revealing suggest systemic issues with the next generation of slot machine technology. Machine number 11, Zeus Unleashed. This represents what the industry is calling dynamic RTP adjustment, a new generation of slot machines equipped with artificial intelligence algorithms designed to modify difficulty based on real-time casino profit targets. The technology was supposed to be revolutionary, allowing machines to automatically adjust their mathematical models to maintain consistent hold percentages regardless of short-term variance. What actually happened reveals fundamental problems with applying machine learning to gaming mathematics. The AI algorithm, rather than adjusting difficulty to protect casino profits during unfavorable variance, began favoring players during peak traffic hours, doing exactly the opposite of its intended function. A Las Vegas casino discovered their Zeus Unleashed bank was measuring actual return to player percentages between 95 and 96% during prime evening hours, 6 to midnight specifically, compared to the programmed 88% that should have been consistent throughout operating hours. 8 different properties reported similar patterns across their Zeus Unleashed installations, prompting Light and Wonder to issue an emergency patch in January. The technical explanation from engineers who examined the faulty code reveals the AI was misinterpreting player engagement signals. The algorithm was designed to recognize when players were losing interest and leaving machines, then adjust payouts to encourage continued play. Instead, it interpreted peak hour traffic and player rotation as negative engagement signals, triggering payout increases during exactly the periods when casinos needed standard hold percentages most. Real player experiences documented on gambling forums show consistent winning sessions during evening hours and losses during daytime play. Patterns so pronounced that advantage players began scheduling their sessions exclusively during the 6 to midnight window. The current status involves rolling updates being deployed property by property, but the staggered implementation means different casinos are running different software versions, creating inconsistent behavior across the installed base. A former slot director warned that this represents the future of slots. Adaptive machines that use artificial intelligence to maximize profitability, and the industry clearly isn't ready for the complexity involved. When you introduce machine learning into gaming mathematics, you create unpredictable interactions between algorithms and player behavior that traditional testing methods never anticipated. And that brings us to the final machine, the one that represents where this entire technological arms race is ultimately heading, and the problems it's revealing suggest the industry has prioritized innovation over stability. Machine number 12. Virtual reality slots Dragon's Realm. 10 major casino properties launched VR slot installations during the fourth quarter. Helmet-based immersive gaming experiences designed to attract younger players who grew up with sophisticated video games and find traditional slots boring. The fundamental problem emerged almost immediately. The VR environment creates player disorientation that casinos expected would increase time on device and spending. But it's also creating pattern recognition advantages that informed players are systematically exploiting. The technical explanation centers on visual cues embedded in the three-dimensional virtual environment that telegraph upcoming wins. These cues, things like dragon shadow movements and environmental particle effects that were added purely for aesthetic immersion, correlate with real outcomes in ways the developers didn't account for during mathematical modeling. Early adopter players who spent time learning the environmental tells began documenting win rates between 92 and 94%, genuine advantage play opportunities hidden inside cutting-edge technology. 3 properties have suspended their VR slot operations entirely after tracking showed consistent player profits. The case study that terrified casino executives involved a player team that spent 2 weeks mapping every visual correlation between environmental effects and real outcomes, then systematically exploited that knowledge to extract over $80,000 before getting backed off. Industry concern extends beyond this single title, because manufacturers have collectively invested more than $200 million in VR technology development, betting that immersive experiences represent the future of slot gaming. But the technology isn't working as planned, at least not from a profitability standpoint. The bigger picture reveals rushed innovation without proper testing, companies racing to be first to market with next-generation products while skipping the rigorous mathematical review that traditional slot development requires. Most VR installations are being removed or significantly modified as of March, relegated to experimental status while manufacturers figure out how to eliminate the advantage play vulnerabilities. You now know about 12 specific machines that are draining casino profits. Everyone representing manufacturer errors, rush technology implementation, or fundamental design flaws that create mathematical advantages for informed players. This is information that casino operators actively suppress, the specific titles and technical vulnerabilities that undermine their business models. Most of these advantages are being closed rapidly as manufacturers deploy updates and casinos remove or relocate vulnerable machines. The time-sensitive nature of this information means what's accurate today might be corrected next month. But now you understand what to look for before casinos fix everything, the patterns and tells and mathematical anomalies that separate genuinely advantageous machines from the standard house edge grind. The broader lesson here extends beyond individual machine titles. The industry is prioritizing speed to market over quality control, by rushing new technology into casinos without adequate testing because competition demands constant innovation. You now have the same information slot directors are using when they make decisions about floor layouts and machine placement. Make sure you subscribe, leave a comment about your biggest slot win, and share this with other players who deserve to know what's really happening on casino floors. Because next month there will be 12 completely different machines with new problems, new vulnerabilities, and new opportunities that casinos are scrambling to hide.